Ever feel like you're just drowning in information, trying to really get a handle on something, but just feeling totally overwhelmed? You want to understand it properly, quickly, without all the endless searching. Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission is pretty straightforward. We take a pile of sources, could be articles, research, maybe even your own notes, and pull out the absolute key insights for you. Think of us as your shortcut to getting up to speed, deeply and efficiently. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something super practical, I think. Strategies for really mastering exam preparation. We're using insights from a really great source called Mastering Exam Preparation. Strategy, resources, and resilience. Now, it often uses the OET, the Occupational English Test, as a specific example, but honestly, the ideas here are universal. This isn't just about scraping a pass, it's about building real competence and confidence that, goes way beyond just the test itself.
Exactly, and that's why this is so relevant right now, isn't it? It doesn't matter if you're prepping for professional certification, a big academic exam, or even if you just want to learn more efficiently day to day, the structure we'll explore, it can genuinely change your whole approach.
Totally agree. So our goal in this deep dive is to give you those big picture strategies, like how to figure out where you actually are right now, how to plan your study properly, pick the best materials, avoid those classic mistakes everyone makes, and importantly, how to build up that confidence you need to walk in and perform your best on the day. Okay, so most of us, we just grab a textbook and start reading, right? That's step one. But our source material says, hold on, that's actually step two. The very first thing before anything else is doing a really thorough diagnostic assessment. Why start there?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it feels counterintuitive. You want to start studying, but the source is making clear the biggest time saver isn't just putting in more hours. It's being precise, knowing exactly where your gaps are before you begin. It's like having a map for your studies. It lets you spot your strengths and weaknesses right away, so you can focus your energy where it'll actually count. Turns guesswork into, targeted practice.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Precision, not just hours. And the source gives a really practical way to do this mini self-assessment simulation. It sounds quite official. Like for listening skills, you'd maybe tackle some short audio clips, like Part A style, where you need to catch specific details. For reading, maybe try one text where you expand notes, and another that needs deep understanding, inference questions, and crucially, under timed conditions. Then, for writing, maybe draft a short letter, 250 words, hitting specific bullet points from a prompt. And speaking, record yourself doing a couple of mock role plays, maybe one gathering patient history, one giving advice. Seems like a solid way to get a quick snapshot of everything.
It really is a proper snapshot. And then once you've done these mini tests, the really key part is analyzing the results. So for listening and reading, you'd mark your answers, get a raw score. But more importantly, look for patterns. Are you always missing numbers? Or maybe inference questions are tripping you up? For writing, you compare what you wrote to a model answer using a checklist. Did you cover the points? Was the organization clear? The tone right? And for speaking, you listen back, critically. Any awkward pauses? Pronunciation issues? Did you sound, professional and polite enough?
Okay, right. So it's not just about the score, it's the why behind the errors. And after that analysis, the final bit is creating this skill profile. Basically, you list your scores, the types of errors for each skill, and you rate your confidence, maybe 1 to 5 for each area: listening, reading, writing, speaking. Then you highlight, say, the top 3 things you really need to work on, like reading Part C inference, or formal letter tone, or speaking fluency when explaining stuff. And that profile, that's your starting line, your benchmark to track progress.
Right, so you've diagnosed yourself, you know your starting blocks. What's next? It's got to be the plan, right? How do you get from A to B? And this is where I think a lot of people struggle, juggling study with everything else, the timetable. How do you make one that actually works?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? A good timetable really is the backbone, but it's not about being super rigid. It's about finding that balance, Consistency, but also flexibility, making sure you cover everything without completely burning yourself out. It turns "I should study" into "here's how I'll study." And the source suggests aiming for, about 40 to 60 hours of focused, deliberate practice total, depending on where you started from that diagnostic. And then spreading that out over maybe 6 to 8 weeks makes it feel more like a marathon, less like a mad dash. Sustainable.
Exactly. Sustainable is the key word. And it gets specific on the weekly breakdown too, like maybe 2-3 hours on listening. But not just listening. Practice mix-in drills like note-taking skills or spotting distractors. Same for reading, 2-3 hours. Mix skinging drills, detailed comprehension, and definitely vocabulary work. then about 2 hours for writing, looking at good examples, practicing, grading yourself, and importantly, rewriting. Another 2 hours for speaking practice role plays, maybe with a partner, maybe recording yourself, covering different kinds of scenarios. And then maybe 1-2 hours for integrating skills like listening, then writing about it, or reading something to prepare for a speaking task, or just general revision.
Okay, that weekly structure sounds manageable. And then daily. The source says start each session with a quick 10-minute review of errors from the day before. That sounds smart. Locks in the learning. Then focus hard on one task for 30-45 minutes. Then, crucially, 10 minutes reflecting on that task, what went well, what didn't, and build in short breaks, 5-10 minutes between tasks. It's not about pushing through nonstop. Strategic rest.
Absolutely. Strategic rest is vital. And that flexibility piece comes in at the end of the week. Compare what you plan to do with what you actually did. Did you need more time on reading, less on listening? You can then adjust the plan for the next week. It keeps it relevant to your progress, and if you miss a session, don't just skip it. Schedule a catch-up slot. Adapt, optimize, don't just give up on the plan.
All right. Adapt and optimize. Love that. Okay, so diagnosis done, plan in place. Now, the tools, the arsenal. What do you actually use to study? This feels like a really critical choice. Get it wrong, and you waste a lot of time.
You're spot on. Choosing the right resources, high-quality ones, that maximizes your efficiency. It ensures every study minute is actually effective and targeted. It's about working smarter, definitely.
So where do you start? The source points directly to official materials from the exam body, right? Like the official prep booklets for your specific field, often with practice tests and notes from examiners, and those online practice simulations that look exactly like the real test. That seems super important for getting comfortable with the interface.
Oh, definitely. Familiarity reduces stress hugely. But beyond the official stuff, supplementary text can be great. The source mentions examples like, for healthcare pros, maybe a book focusing on OET model answers and language points, or another one drilling down into specific health science terminology and reading skills. Finding good quality field-specific extras can really boost your learning.
And online. There's loads out there. The recommendation seems to be official online courses from the exam organizers, if possible, interactive bits, videos, maybe even getting mock tests scored. Plus, things like YouTube channels from accredited teachers. Good for free strategy tips and tackling common problems.
Yeah, those can be really valuable. And for more direct help, group workshops can be good intensive learning, practice with others, tutor feedback, or one-to-one tutoring. If you go that route, look for someone officially accredited or with a strong track record for your specific exam. That personalized guidance can make a huge difference, targeting your exact weak spots.
Makes sense. And then there are the smaller tools, the apps and things, like vocabulary apps, Quizlet, Memrise, good for quick daily review on the go. Voice recording apps essential for listening back to your speaking practice. Self-critique is powerful. And timed exam simulators, things like Test Portal. Practicing under that clock pressure seems non-negotiable.
Absolutely. You need to feel that pressure before the real day. And the really crucial tip, running through all of this resource selection, is pick stuff that suits how you learn. Are you visual? Auditory? Do you learn by doing? And always make sure the materials give you explanations for the answers, not just the answers themselves. You need to understand why you got something right or wrong.
Okay, that's a great point, understanding the why. Now let's talk about the obstacles, the common tripwires. Every study journey has them right. Those pitfalls that catch people out, even if they're working really hard. I know I've made some of these. Knowing what they are beforehand seems like half the battle.
It really is. It's fascinating how just being aware of common errors lets you consciously put up defenses against them. Proactive prevention, you could call it.
Okay, so one big one mentioned for writing tasks.
Right.
Just misreading the instructions or the bullet points you have to cover leads to leaving out required info, which costs a lot of marks.
Yeah, simple mistake, big consequence. The strategy. Physically underline every key instruction, every bullet point. You could even jot them down as mini headings before you start writing your draft. Make absolutely sure you hit every single one.
Okay, simple but effective. What about speaking? The source mentions over-translating from your first language. Apparently it makes you sound unnatural, less fluent, maybe less confident.
That's a common one. Instead of thinking in your language and translating word for word, the advice is to practice paraphrasing ideas directly in English and actively learn and practice common phrases and structures used in your field in English. Aim for more natural, spontaneous sounding speech.
Right, think in English, harder than it sounds sometimes. And for reading, skimming too quickly, too superficially. So you miss key details, pick the wrong answer.
Yeah, the temptation is to rush. To counter it, Practice actively marking keywords as you read. Train yourself to specifically scan for concrete things, dates, names, numbers. Slow down just enough to ensure accuracy, focused attention over just speed.
Okay. And listening.
Yeah.
Trying to write down everything. Apparently you get bogged down, fall behind the speaker, and then miss what comes next.
Exactly. It's overload. The fix is disciplined shorthand. Train yourself to grab only the essential facts, the key nouns, verbs, numbers, names. Focus on listening and understanding first, then jot down the critical info. Don't try to be a court stenographer.
Good advice. And the last big one, ignoring the clock. Running out of time.
The classic. Leads to panic and leaving potentially easy marks behind in later sections. The only way around this is consistent timed practice. Use a timer for every section, every practice test. Make it feel like the real exam. Over time, you develop an internal sense of pacing. Time management becomes almost automatic. And for you listening, maybe take a moment to think. Do any of these sound familiar? If so, consciously build that avoidance strategy into your study routine. It's often these small habit changes that yield the biggest results.
Definitely food for thought there. Okay, finally, the inner game. It's not just about having the knowledge, is it? It's about how you feel when it's time to demonstrate it. Our sources really hammer this home. Confidence is just as vital as competence. Anxiety can sabotage even the best preparation.
It raises that critical question, doesn't it? How do you make sure your mind is calm and focused on the day? How do you manage that stress so you can actually perform your best? It's about mastering yourself, not just the material.
And regular mock tests are a huge part of that, aren't they? Just getting familiar with the whole process, the timing, the format, the environment, it chips away at the anxiety of the unknown. And the source suggests after each mock, list 3 things you did well, alongside 3 things to improve. Keeps it balanced, builds confidence alongside identifying weaknesses.
That balance is key. And the material also highlights relaxation techniques, things you can build into your routine, like deep breathing, specifically box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Calms the nervous system right down. Also, progressive muscle relaxation, tensing and releasing muscle groups. You can do it before studying or even discreetly on exam morning to ease physical tension.
I like the sound of box breathing. Simple, effective, and positive self-talk. That's mentioned too. Actively challenging those negative thoughts. Instead of, I can't do this, consciously switch to, I've prepared thoroughly, I'm ready to do my best. Maybe even keep a log of positive statements to review. Build up that mental defense.
Absolutely. And visualization is another powerful technique recommended. Just 5 minutes a day, picturing yourself succeeding. See yourself listening clearly, writing effectively, speaking confidently. It's like mental rehearsal. Seeing yourself perform well makes it feel more achievable in reality.
And what about support from others?
Hugely important. Join a study group. Find an online forum. Sharing tips, yes, but also just venting frustrations, celebrating small wins together. Knowing you're not alone in the struggle is incredibly powerful. And bonus, trying to explain a concept to someone else is one of the best ways to solidify your own understanding.
That's true. Teaching reinforces learning.
And finally, those practical test day rituals. Get everything ready the night before, ID, pens, water, whatever you need. Eat a decent meal, but maybe avoid too much caffeine if it makes you jittery. And get there early. Give yourself time to settle, acclimatize, breathe. Avoid that last-minute rush and stress. It really is about combining the targeted study prep with these deliberate stress management strategies. That holistic approach is what leads to peak performance.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener? This deep dive shows that mastering exam prep, it's not about grinding away for endless hours with rote learning. It's a whole system. Starts with that honest self-check, moves through careful planning, smart resource choices, consciously avoiding common mistakes, and absolutely crucially, looking after your mental and emotional state. Nurturing resilience.
And these aren't just exam tips, are they? These are principles for tackling any big learning challenge. That structured approach, the self-awareness, using time and resources strategically, keeping a confident mindset. These are tools you can take forward into anything new you want to learn or achieve.
It really shifts the focus from just what you study to the how and why. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. What if you started using that idea of diagnostic assessment not just for exams, but for any new skill or area you want to get good at? How could understanding your skill profile, your strengths and weaknesses in any domain transform your learning from just stumbling around into a really targeted, efficient, and ultimately much more satisfying journey? Worth thinking about.